password are incorrect.
Morning, it's 10 a.m. on Friday, August 23rd, 2024. Everyone's favorite Friday in August of Hot and Hell 100 weekend. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. Let's jump in. Discussions with the Sheriff's Office on the use of Exxon fuel cards with Enterprise. Who's bringing this
Yeah,
one?
I'll talk to you better.
Come on up.
Since I'm gonna be talking about, other things. So, I know in one of our discussions when we had the meetings and stuff with Exxon, with Enterprise, they had mentioned the Exxon credit cards, fuel pumps. We are in favor of it, obviously. Going to Central, sometimes bothersome, sometimes it's slow. If you're lucky to have 3 pumps working to pump fuel, and sometimes they just have pump one, so you got 2 sides of it. And it's pretty slow, and Mark knows how slow those pumps are. They have 1 pump for 2 sides, and then if you turn the second one on, it really slows it down. Exxon will give us a little bit more mobility to have other places to go to, and then of course you also at the Central you're fighting the crowd. If you get there at the wrong time, you may be in line to get a vehicle, fuel. There is an Exxon station right there by LEC, just up the road at Windhorse Road. There's one on 369 in Kell, and there's one on Missler Road, 287. I don't believe there's one in Isle Park or Electric.
And they're general, did y'all got price?
Yeah, that was what.
Because they are normally,
We do not.
the
They have to
Exxons
be-
are normally higher than
Yeah.
the DKs.
If I recall the discussion with Exxon, they said they had, when Enterprise was here talking, that last time they were here, they were talking about the card, they mentioned the cards, that they have a deal worked out with Exxon.
Right.
Now, I don't know, without reaching out to Enterprise and having them
But-
come back and talk to us, what kind of deal they have.
That card wheel is only good at an Exxon though?
My understanding, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because we had
It's,
fuel.
it's good everywhere, they
Okay.
just prefer Exxon
Okay.
because they get the biggest discount from Exxon.
Okay, that's what it was, yeah.
So it gives you flexibility, and I will park in Electra then
Yes,
too.
if you're
you
out there and need fuel.
Because we had, 7-Eleven was, the WEX cards that we used to have, and they were good anywhere,
Yeah.
so.
It just takes us away from having to go to Central, depending on Central. We don't use Central for much of anything anymore. We don't have service. Our vehicles don't get service there. And we are limited on those pumps. Sometimes you have 2 pumps running, or sometimes you're lucky you have 3. Very seldom do I ever see 4 running. 4's been down for months. So,
I mean, ultimately on this, I think what, I can't speak for everyone else, what I would want to see is what's our rate that we're getting at Central
Yeah.
compared to what's the rate that we're going to get, the discounted rate if you do it
Yeah.
Exxon versus then the generic retail rate. In Iowa Park and Electra, it starts to matter of the drive distance.
each spend 2 or 3 gallons to get fuel, and then 2 or 3 gallons back to go.
Because ultimately, I mean, unless there's some issue with it being a nightmare to work with Enterprise on the payment of this
Yeah.
and that, it's just gonna come down to dollars, I think,
Well,
from my perspective.
And I think, Judge, too, it should allow you to have a little more control from what we get a statement
Oh,
from.
Yeah, it's
Central,
just
but
overall
this one-
gallons of gas.
Yeah, and are these cards, are
Assigned
they,
to the car.
are for the vehicle?
They're assigned to the vehicle.
Yeah.
I
Not
mean,
to
you
the
can get the
person.
itemized list, I believe, from Central, but I don't think that's the way Central sends it to the auditor's office.
Right.
Can't ask them right now.
No, it's not the ones that I've seen. Now, you can
Yeah.
request that, but
Because if I remember correctly, Nick in one of those presentations even talked about that they've essentially got automatic triggers that if it looks like you're filling
You-
up too soon or
Yeah, they kind of watch all that in the whole process of.
well, don't you put your mileage in when you?
Every time you get gas, you have to
Yeah.
put the mileage in.
And it knows the car.
If you go through a tank of gas and only drive 100 miles, it means you're sitting somewhere too long,
Yeah,
so.
it's the way to go as far as unifying what you do, and especially y'all already use a card, and so that distorts the picture at Central. If everybody used a card. it would-
Essentially, it's just a key fob thing that you hope it works too.
Right,
not
but
you
what
have
I'm
to-
saying is you don't have an overall picture of fuel because you have to add anything y'all do outside to the central deal. If everybody had that card, then,
You itemize the cars a lot easier.
Yeah.
What unit is doing to what, how much
Right.
gas.
Van, would you mind getting with them all in the same email chain with Enterprise and getting the exact rate pictures? And I know we asked this for Central, and we had a hard time getting an actual rate back, if I remember
Well,
correctly.
there-
Because it's a,
well, what it should be, Judge, is there's zones set up by fuel.gov, and that's how what we regulated fuel surcharges off of.
okay,
And so that it designated the country into zones, and then in that zone, it tells you for this week what the average mean is for this particular area for gasoline.
okay.
And
So I mean, I think we should be able to get on and see that for this week and over the course of 3 or 4 weeks, be able to compare it to what
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, again, can't speak for everyone, but from my perspective, just being able to see that. If we're talking a 50 cents a gallon difference, well, it
Yeah.
may not pay for itself, but if it's a fairly small one,
And Exxon, and I like Exxon, I do a lot of business with them, but their fuel prices are usually 20 to 40 cents higher than competitors.
Which
I
you
mean,
get Sam's or somewhere.
well, I mean, even at the, what is that, the DK, the 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
Even those are Quick Trip, usually they're higher than Quick Trip or DK. And that's the only thing.
But there
Huh?
should be a overall discount too. I mean, it's not just Exxon may be the best discounted rate, but there should be a fuel rate for all others that they've accepted, they're going to
A
pay.
fleet rate somewhere, so.
yeah, if y'all would just work on getting that information, I think we can make a decision based on that.
Okay.
Anything else on that one?
No, sir.
Any other questions on Exxon fuel cards? Okay, move to item number 2, discuss and review jail maintenance projects and work orders. Chief?
I didn't have any updates this week, but I do know the 2 AC units that were out over the admin offices areas been fixed. Good. Cooled back down. So those 2 are important, but as far as I know, everything else is running good on the AC. I haven't heard anything else, haven't seen any email or anything. So other than just regular maintenance, I don't believe there's anything major outstanding.
Are we coming up on another filter
Should be.
change?
Like October, November.
Okay, so we're still a little ways away.
Okay. Another
Seems like
400
it's fall.
filters.
Yeah, seems like it's fall.
Okay. Any other questions on jail maintenance projects and work orders? All right,
How's-
item number 3.
How's the building going?
It's probably 75, the building's up and done. They're doing electrical and plumbing and all that stuff now.
So they're
So it's
talking
probably
about,
75% done.
Are you insulating that wheel?
Yes, they're spraying it.
Good.
Yes. Yeah. It's a little warm inside. So,
it's air conditioned and heated building too. isn't it?
yeah, that's part of it. So they're out there now doing all that stuff.
I mean, for 300,000, we already have all the bells and whistles.
It's a good building.
You need to come use the shop?
Nope, no, sir. Thank you.
Item number 3, receive status report on salaries and overtime. I believe everyone got the email for the packet yesterday at 7:59 a.m.
Where is Wilmer and Margaret?
They don't come anymore.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Chief, looked like jail numbers, population-wise, is it still fairly consistent where it has been the last 3 months? Is that,
It's just kind of hiding right there, around 500.
how are y'all doing, workers-wise?
We've lost a few, we've hired a few, and we got, I think, 6 more or 4 more coming on in the next week or 10 days, and I know they were testing some this morning, so still having a pretty good flow of people coming in.
Do y'all do any kind of interview process, exit interview, or just to check in with folks when they leave on?
We used to, but no, we don't. I mean, you know, some that left lately, some have gone to other jobs. One went to a law enforcement job. I think two have in the last month or two. And then one will let go, just, you know, had enough reasons to let go. And so some just, you know, as always, just not cut out for it, go there and work.
And the reason I asked is curious if you end up with like all of them start to leave for other law enforcement jobs, and are they locally? Are they?
One was local, I think got hired by the PD, and one went to Warren City, up there on the other side of Dallas, or McKinney somewhere. So, and I think we had one leave to go to the military. So,
I think I asked you this a couple weeks ago, and I know you're always watching it. Based on the projected overages for salaries and overtime,
I
and
haven't looked at it. I'll look at it next week on the 1st. We always did it the 1st of each month, but I haven't looked at it in a week or two.
okay,
So,
because the total 560, 561, 562 projected is be 762, 368 over when you put everything
Understood.
together. Just wondering if y'all were looking like you're on track to be under in enough other areas to
yeah, to
come out.
get it. We will watch it. I mean, we are watching it. So I've already told some others that spinning's over with for the year. So it's just a necessity,
Okay.
like toilet paper.
I worked somewhere before they told us to bring our own.
Kind of hard to tell the inmates that.
Yeah.
Kind of hard, yeah. Ship it in with your family.
Care package.
Care package.
I'm good.
Still a couple looking. Yes, when I was going back and working on the budget, I was looking at departments' actuals compared to budgeted, and nearly everybody else runs 88, 90, 92%, and
Not sure.
560, 561, 562 is always right there, 99.2, 99.3. And I get it,
Yeah.
it's related to the, y'all are watching it from about June on to make sure your other stuff's in line, get the salary stuff. That's what caused me to ask that question,
Yeah.
if y'all were looking at it for this year.
You know, if we didn't have any payroll, this budget deal would be pretty simple, wouldn't it?
No payroll, no jail left to take care of, yeah.
I don't think we want to farm out the jail.
No, I don't think they do either.
I think you're being upside down on that one.
No, but in all seriousness, when I talk to other counties that are about our size or a little bigger or have jails that are close to the same size, I mean, they talk about the same problems, and in a lot of ways y'all seem to be doing, I mean, but y'all are keeping a much lower opening rate, and we're better staffing coverage than a lot of the others, and so it's a hard job always, and the employment environment the last couple of years, it's harder still.
One of the things that you realize when you first get into this job and you go to one of those conferences and you begin to talk to people across the state, everybody's got the same,
Yeah, everybody
same
got the same
challenges.
problems,
It's just pretty much universal.
Well, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you're gonna see a bunch of the more rural, smaller counties, they're just gonna,
They're gonna
Well,
farm out to
you're
farm out,
exactly
at least
right, yeah.
What is the estimated manpower that you'll use over the weekend, Will?
this weekend.
for Hunter.
We're on. We'll have about 20 deputies that will be throughout the county. Now, some will, you know, once their assignment's over with, they peel off and go home. They don't stay all day. there'll be 5 or 8 that will be there most of all day, until 2 o'clock, 2:30. So, quite a few intersections to cover.
Yep.
Plus fire watch and everything else this
Yep.
weekend, so. Pray nothing like that happens,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, indeed.
For sure.
Any other questions or on the salaries and overtime? Everyone had a chance to look through it all?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Item number 4, this is probably gonna be a short discussion, is review and discuss regular bills. We did not receive a bill packet.
We did, and Margaret, I thought,
We got payroll.
I think it was just
I
payroll,
think it was just payroll.
I thought,
Says
unless I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
Margaret List, oh yeah, it's just payroll.
Yep.
Well,
wonder what's up with that?
well, they're busy.
I will, I'll check with the auditor's office on Monday to see if we've got a late arriving list. Or if there just aren't any on the list this week.
That's a pretty important
Yeah.
deal.
And I mean, per usual, we don't, on a week where we don't have a Friday session, we can still review them before court on Tuesday when we actually, do the order for payment, so. Item number 5 then, 2025 budget work session. I'm not gonna do the whole song and dance again this week, because I took care of that last week. Wanted to talk about a couple things, the proposed changes that have come up in the last week for folks that have brought stuff to my attention. And then as requested last week, I've got a paper with an explainer on the ongoing operational expenses discussion that we had that I'll give to y'all and we can discuss that. And then any other items that have come up that y'all want to discuss that have come up in the last week. So first, let me just run through the list of the proposed changes. And a couple of these, we've got folks that might want to speak on them. So the first, in talking with Brendan this week, if we do move forward with the in-car computer installation, he was talking about that's likely going to mean they need another systems technician. Do you want to explain a little bit on that, Brendan, or?
It's gonna add a lot of workload to the departments and a lot of extra work that someone's gonna have to do, and I don't have enough time with the people I've got now to do that.
Because we're essentially talking, Chief, what was the number of total in-car computers that were going to be installed?
39.
39. Okay, so we're talking about installation.
Where does that work go on, Brendan, when there's trouble? Do you go to them in the garage out there, or where would y'all work on
It
that?
depends on the issue that arises. If there's something with the cars, yeah, they would go out there and actually work on them. If it's remote support or after hours for the computer, we'd remote it as much as possible. But it just depends on what the actual issue is.
And obviously, I mean, it's going to be a full-time, all-hands-on-deck deal with installation. I know that we'll have help, but like any of these rollouts, a lot of it falls on in-house staff. I can't imagine it being a full-time job, that being the only part of this person's job once we get up and running and moving and maintaining. Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
Do you see other, what other duties would you see being as part of that?
There would be a technician. We've got one person assigned at the jail as it is now, but I pulled him away whenever the courthouse has extra duties or anything. But with the added workload that that'll bring to the jail, that won't be an optional position anymore. It'll be, someone will have to be staffed out at the LEC on a permanent basis so that they can get the help they need. So I'll need to cover the shortages that I won't be able to pull back to the courthouse.
Okay. And Chief, I just don't know, that's why I'm asking. Do you have problems with the in-car computer once they're installed, they're in, they're running? If there are problems, will that take that unit out of being able to do the job? Or how will that,
No,
it'll just
sir.
make it harder? Or just bring it back to where
It
we are
would be an
now?
inconvenience
Yeah.
more than a problem.
Okay.
They're still gonna be able to, come back to the office and do their reports, and they just won't have the ability to, check on people out in the field and do things like that. They'll still have the secondary option to use the radio. You know, if something were to fail shortly after we started, we wouldn't notice the difference because we're so used to doing it the way that we have. So,
It would only be if the camera failed that we would put that car out.
yes, camera is the only reason we'll put a car out.
Okay.
Are they on the dock? Is that how that works?
Yes, sir.
So in other words, when you came in to go in and do a report, you pull it and,
In the field, they could actually do it there, and speaking to Brennan, he's already told us that he can remove the computers that are in our patrol report office now and put in a couple of docks so they can bring their laptops in, connect it to that dock, and whatever they're gonna do in the office, they can do there at that station.
one of the problems that I would envision in that deal, guys, is the heat. That's not good for electronics.
They've solved that.
Have they?
You know, I mean, these computers have been in police cars for 40 years now, and,
Yeah.
you know, they've solved most of those problems. We've been discussing, we probably need to reach out to Brennan's office, you know, policies and procedures for what
Right.
you're supposed to do if you get them, maybe if the court approves it, you know, how we need to best take care of the laptops.
I mean, even my cell phone will overheat like the last
They
week or
pull them
two.
out when they're not in the car.
Yeah.
pretty much, so you-
Yeah, that's good. I know that's a problem we've had with electronics and equipment and other things that you have to really watch. And so good, I'm glad to know they're making progress on that.
So that was one, that was the biggest dollar item difference. The second is Chief McFerrin had requested the original. It had been my intent to do it, and I just didn't get it in the proposed budget. But they have 6 ID clerks. Is it 6? Yeah.
Yes.
6 ID clerks at the SO that they were asking to move from $35,701 a year to $40,200. Chief, do you want to explain the reasoning behind that ask?
Is that position, and you know, you guys who work for the PD, you understand also, you know, dispatchers woefully underpaid all the way around, woefully. Those ladies have to maintain certification, same as a peace officer, same as a jailer. They have to continue to be good people so they can have access to sensitive information. You know, they have to take a lot of classes just like we do for continuing education. And because it's a 24/7 staff position, it's very difficult to get people to want to work midnight shift for $35,000. You know, that's a.
You said dispatch. Is it ID techs or dispatch?
No, it's our records.
Is that right?
Oh, it's your records
Yes,
dispatch,
our records
okay.
clerks, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's labeled on the budget, but it is what it is.
Well, we can
I-
change that. Would it be
It's
more
actually
accurate to
a-
call it
it's-
records dispatch? Or
It'd be a records
clerk,
dispatch.
because we don't have a dispatch, no,
Okay.
records clerks.
Yeah, they're not ID.
okay.
And they do, I sent the judge a breakdown of their duties, and I had one of them fill it out for me, because I'm gonna be honest, I've never worked in there, I don't know what everything is that they do. And it was 3 pages,
Yeah.
3 pages of things that they take care of, you know, as well, because if we don't maintain our stuff, we get our TLETs turned off. And I know that you've been working with Lisa trying to get some of those problems solved, and they can be quite burdensome.
They also have to, maintain a lot of the jail stuff, when we have inmates that race it out of the county, and then coordinate, get the county, in 10 days to get them picked up. They do all that, the coordinations and stuff, along with our compliance people.
And we have put another big burden on them. We've been experimenting since the lady left who was doing our warrants. That was her sole job, was to process warrants that were brought in by other agencies, and also the warrants that come through that are out of county. We've put that responsibility on the records clerks, and we have gone back and forth as to whether or not we're going to keep it that way, but it looks like I don't know, we'll see. We've still got discussions to be had
And
about that.
what is that, Patrick? What's happening there?
With the warrants. So if a Wichita Falls police officer comes to the courthouse and he gets the judge to sign a warrant, he brings it to us, and we're the ones who are actually responsible for entering it not only in Tyler, but also into NCIC, TCIC, so that any peace officer that has interaction with this person will know who it is. And you start talking about having to do that for WFPD. We do that for Iowa Park PD, Electra, Burpernet, all the state agencies around here. And then you start having the warrants from out of state, that are coming here, that Chief was talking about, where we have to coordinate all that. And that was done by one person. Now we've spread it out, but unfortunately records clerks who work days are usually the ones who get beat up with that, because that's when most business takes place, right? Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
And then when the person does have a warrant, if PD stops somebody's got a warrant, or Dallas PD stops somebody's got a Wichita County warrant, our records has
Our
to
record.
confirm all that.
But he has
Does
to-
that automatically happen when JP issues a warrant?
No, that has to be
No.
brought to us.
Oh, does it get brought to you?
JP, or is it goes, they may go in the queue.
It goes through Tyler, but still the same process has to be done. The information is sent to the records clerk, who in turn puts it all in the computer,
Oh.
lets everybody know.
Are
And that-
you able to segregate those warrants by issuer?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Tyler has that as, those different, options to run reports, and it can tell you who's issuing warrants and who's not.
What is that now?
I don't have that off the top of my head. Are there, those 6 positions, 4 of them day, 2 night, or does it rotate?
222.
What's-
We have 3 shifts, yes, sir. 2 on days, 2 on swings, and then 2 on midnight shift.
And do those rotate among the 6, or you've got the set 2, the set 2, the set 2?
Set 2.
Okay.
Set 2.
So one
we
goes on
have moved
vacation?
people around. Huh?
So when one goes on vacation or
They
sick,
have to kind of rotate.
Yes, we have to rotate, and since we've been down 3, because we had such a hard time finding applicants, we had to change them to 12-hour shifts, and then one of them got put on midnights that was on days, and he was not happy about that, but he did it, because he knew it needed to be done. But that's the way we've been working now, and then the guy who runs it, he's done a really good job of keeping the overtime at a minimum, but there obviously still has been when you're short half your staff.
sure. So you're down 3 right now.
We have 2 that are in training, but it takes about 6 weeks to get them trained up to where we can leave them alone.
Okay.
And that's about almost $21 an hour. That's what that pay is. I don't know what the city pays for front desk clerk. It's be a similar
Yeah.
position.
I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
Okay. So that was the second one. Third was Kirk reached out to me to make me aware. So county covers health insurance for juvenile probation folks, and in 25, the juvenile board has approved 25 positions in that department, and I had figured based on 23. So that's for 2 extra positions for health insurance premiums. It's
Now,
$20,000.
are some of those state paid personnel?
Yes, but we would pay the health insurance on them. He also, and I had just put in the wrong number on this one, the adult probation budget, due to the fact that between Melvin, Brendan, myself, and Kirk, we'd all looked at it. We were supposed to be covering more operational equipment costs, which meant his budget request had been $16,600 for adult probation instead of $10,500, and I just put the old number in. So that was a change. And then I had input on the auto allowance for the 4-H agent at the Ag Extension at $3,500 when it should be $3,800 to match the other not the county agent, but the proposed FCH agent. So that goes from $3,500 to $3,800. The net on those changes is $105,051. So those are the things. Those are the non-budget neutral items that have come to my attention this week that either I messed up on or just was unaware of, but think that they're probably good ideas. So wanted y'all to be aware of those. All right. Name that to you. Pass this. So last week, when I just started throwing a bunch of big numbers at y'all, and that wasn't fair to ask y'all to be doing all that math on hand quickly. We were talking about ongoing operational expenses and a built-in delta and where that number came from. So I wanted y'all to have it on the page in front of you and explain where that was coming from. So I put an overview and a recap there at the top. Happy to answer any questions if you have any on those, but I want to focus in on the 2025 ongoing operational expenses section there at the bottom. So For the general fund, that's $56.05 million that we talked about last week. And there's some assumptions built into there that I wanted y'all to understand. Because I'm giving kind of a worst case scenario here, both on the revenues and the expenses side. That number assumes that every department and general fund that is underneath this ongoing operational expenses, they spend their full 100% of their budget for the year. And just so that y'all have it for comparison, when I went back and looked at the actual 23 expenses, that number's 92.5% of overall usage. And for 24, we're on pace for 94% usage. That's also built in, assuming that we've got full employment for all positions for all 365 days of the year.
Which you'll never have, probably, most probably.
Right. And Jeff had asked me a question which I looked at, and just so that y'all know, in 23, our actual payroll, we ended up spending 94% of what was budgeted overall. And in 24, we look to be on pace for that number to be about 92%. So those are the assumptions on that $56 million number. Wanted y'all to have that.
That's a higher percentage than I thought it'd be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Yeah, man, yeah, that surprised me that it said high. I was
Yeah.
thinking more like in low 90s or even upper 80% deal, but
Well, I mean, remember, a big chunk of that's gonna come, I mean, because we run 100 plus, over 100% for 560 and 561 for.
that was gonna be my next question. That includes the
Yeah,
overtime.
it does.
So that eats some of it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good.
And then for the revenues amount of 54.37 million in general fund, the assumptions that are built in are a 10% reduction in the 2023 actual numbers in licenses and permits, fines, fees, and state and federal contracts, and then a 6% reduction in the 23 numbers in other revenues. Obviously, we don't expect to make less than those amounts from 2 years ago, but that was a number that we talked about last year. I think Cheryl made a good assumption in doing those revenue projections in the 24 budget, and again for this one. It just helps protect us in case our revenue numbers are down for some reason.
Can we go back up to the one-time expenses, the 300K for buildings?
Uh-huh.
Is that, what's that include?
That includes the, I don't have the list, but
Is that just general maintenance, or is that?
that includes the specific projects that Ricky had
specific
laid out
projects?
in
So
that.
the HVAC projects?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Painting at juvenile.
Okay.
It includes
The
those
priority
things.
projects.
Right, the priority projects. So even if you build in what I'm gonna call a worst case scenario revenues wise, and full employment, full budget use by every department and expenses, that is a $1.6 million shortfall, if you see that. Now, we've got fund balance to pay for it, obviously, but that's that delta. And then I put there at the bottom that based on normal historical trends, and I was even not generous to us on that, we spend 97% of the overall budget in all of the departments. That number's 54.3 million, which is a break even based on worst case scenario revenues. So I wanted y'all to understand the math that went into that of why I felt comfortable with those numbers that I put in the budget and what we were talking about last week. And again, I'm happy to answer questions, and if y'all look at this, you're looking at it again, and you have more questions between now and 3 weeks from now, by all means, just ask me. I'd be happy to explain them.
So that 56.05 is the full meal deal? If I'm
It's-
reading what you're,
It's the full meal deal of what
Full
aren't emergency, we probably won't
Right.
spend them, but we do need to have them budgeted anyway,
Right.
or one-time expenses.
so it would be an anomaly if we went to that number, basically, yeah. Okay.
I think it'd be a fairly significant anomaly.
Yeah.
But again, we we have to be ready for anomalies around here.
We're getting better at having those, aren't we, than
Yeah, we do have some.
have in the past, that's for sure.
So counting on 1.6 not contingency, from a rainy day fund, so to speak, that's not a bad thing.
I don't think
That's what
so.
it's there for.
That's right.
That's being good stewards.
I think so. Because, I mean, asking taxpayers to pay another 1.5 cents on the off chance that
That-
the worst
that
case of
worst
every
case,
scenario
yeah.
happens, I don't think that's good stewardship either.
That's being very good stewards.
And we haven't actually discussed as to where that fund balance needs to
We haven't.
reside.
We haven't.
Because at some point, we'll need to make sure because those are very difficult dollars to ever return.
Yep.
And not that we should return them, but
Well,
I'm just,
they're valuable in many ways. I mean, that's revenue stream on top of it if we pull a lot from it. So
Right.
we lose some of our revenue stream. But still, at 1.6, worst case scenario, that's,
Yeah, but whether we
It's-
decide that 15%'s the number, 25%'s the number, 30%'s the number,
yeah.
I don't think we have, and I think it's probably too late in the game for this cycle to
Right.
do that, but I think that's definitely a discussion and a policy
For-
decision we
right.
should
For
probably
next
make
year. or
this fall
following
and
year.
headed into, or this winter and going into next year.
Yeah.
Judge, under the 2025 revenues,
Uh-huh.
The 10% in license and permits, fines, fees, state and federal contracts, is that just the trend,
That's just being
cautious?
being cautious.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
the
you know,
trend.
we saw a reduction in fines and fees when we pulled a significant amount of our DPS troopers out of the area. I mean, that happened,
Yeah.
and I was just curious if that was just that's just a prediction.
No, that number has been trending
Trending that way.
actually a little up, but
Oh, okay.
again, abundance
You
of
got,
caution
you
on
got a
that.
safety margin
Right.
in there, so, okay. I was just curious of where that came from. An 8.5% reduction in all non-tax revenues, which is 10% of that, or 10% reduction license permits, fines, and
Right.
fees.
Because of course
That's probably a
taxes
safe number.
taxes end up being really close
Yeah.
every year.
Very good.
Just gonna look at this. Yeah, so Barry, just looking at because I've got it right here, the numbers for 2021 and 22. They're kind of all over the place, but broadly speaking, the line looks flat or just a tick up.
Gives you some confidence in that then, so that's good.
All right, so if there are no other questions on that, I'll open it up for any other items that y'all have that have come up or that you want to discuss. I do, and I meant to talk about this last week, but wanted to just give you all a heads up on home delivered meals. So this is kitchen and then our Iowa Park, Electra, and Burke Burnett. The amount's the same. It's the amount we need to give to them so that they can draw down their state money. I'm going to propose that this year we allot that, so the kitchen gets 55% of the money. And then that other 45% we have always distributed equally to Burke, Iowa Park, and Electra. I did the math and am gonna propose basing that on population that they serve in their places. Which means that, so right now everyone has gotten just a little over $1,000, $1,020. Under this, Burke Burnett would get $1,500, Iowa Park would stay where they are, and Electra would get $540. And again, it's based on population numbers.
On their meal,
On
on what they
we-
serve, or the population
On
of
the
the community?
population of the community.
and that probably also speaks to the number of home delivered meals they do, right?
Yes. I wanted to ask Electra when we met with them about what, and we never could, they never would get back with us to schedule a time, so we met with Burke Burnett and Albert Park, but I just wanted y'all to be aware of that. If you've got heartburn about it, I didn't want to spring it on you late in the game.
The only thing I would say is, should we not look at the number of home delivered meals and use that as the delta?
We can if we can get those
If you can get the
numbers.
Yeah.
If you can go back,
Yeah.
What the state requires for their grant
Okay.
is just population in the census.
Right, okay.
No, I'm with you. I
No.
think that would be a
and that's
better.
what all
be
their,
their-
their data's
Their
done on
data's
is.
off the census. Okay,
Well,
if their data's off the census, that
But-
makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
but.
But Iowa Park has a huge number of home delivered meals, and they probably exceed Burke Burnett, I would assume. But I think the population is,
Well, what I'll do then,
Good.
because we don't have to, the budget number is the same. It doesn't
It's
matter.
just how you disperse it.
And we need to take that up before the end of September, right, Nancy? For the actual certificates, the
For
orders that we
disbursement,
send.
yeah.
I will ask each of them I'll let them know what we may be looking at doing and ask them to send their data on actual number of meals served. Because
It seems to make more sense to do it on the number of.
yes, I'm with you. It's just
We
a
can't
matter
do
of
anything
getting
that makes sense.
It would not surprise me, though, to see a community like Electra.
Have a high number.
A smaller population,
But have a
But have
a
more-
higher elderly,
possible.
average age. That would not surprise me.
Probably more percentage of
Yeah.
lower income families in Electra than there
Yeah,
are in
that
Burke
would
Burnett.
not, there's a couple factors there that could really skew that deal. And we just want to do it the best way to serve the people. I mean, that's really what it's all about, so.
Nancy, will you make a note to reach out to each of them and ask them for their meals served last year?
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have. Any other items that have come up that y'all want to discuss, questions?
Hey, just a quick report, having served on jury duty this week.
Oh, you got to.
What's that?
You got to serve?
No, I was but went through the process.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Didn't get picked. I was really pleased that the electronics that we've added in those courtrooms work very well. It's very visible, you can see it. You know, you always wonder if that's gonna work out, and Judge King actually mentioned that when he was addressing the jury pool. But that, to me, that is very successful, works very well, very functional. And as the attorneys got up and they put their stuff up on the screen, very easy to see. So you love it when a plan comes together.
Yep.
And sometimes things don't work out, but that was just an experience I had this week that's been a successful deal, so that's good.
Because there was, represent large investments too.
Yes,
Money
absolutely,
and
yeah.
Resources and.
But I think it really did work well, and you never know, if it's gonna fit your facility or whatever, but it certainly did. And that was in the temporary courtroom, so.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked okay.
Good. Any other items? Okay, it is 10:43 and court is adjourned.